I think a team to your point, I love the analogy, Trev, of I look at UCLA. Like UCLA is 7-1.
Yeah.
They're going to host USC, who's going to continue to grow. Just assume they win this weekend, the week after that. Um, if they then go beat a team for the second time, because that's what they'll have to do. They'll have played everybody that's ranked ahead of them. They already played Utah. They beat them. They lost at Oregon, and they'll have played SC. If they beat SC, that'll knock SC out, most assuming chaos doesn't happen. Then they'll have to play possibly an undefeated conference champ in Oregon. Nobody's ever been undefeated in Pac-12 play in the conference in the regular season, ever, which is
Oh,
kind of a
wow.
surprise to,
Yeah.
exactly. Like nobody really knows that. Like since it expanded to 12, nobody's been able to run the table within the league. So if they're able to beat Oregon and avenge that loss in Autzen, where they did move the ball, it was a hell of a game if you go back and watch it. I think a one-loss conference champ UCLA, Chip Kelly and Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and one of the best backs in the country, Zach Charbonnet, be pretty. I think that could be an outside looking in team. That's why I think the Pac, at least for us out on the West Coast, like today, it feels pretty good because it's been a minute, right? I think 2019, we had 2 teams in the top 10, but haven't had 5 since I think it was 2018, maybe in the initial rankings. So it's cool to see kind of the league in that regard because everybody's going to have to play each other. And if one can emerge either unscathed or with just one loss, then I think they'll put themselves in legit position for a dialogue.
Yeah, and all 3 of those teams, whoever emerges, we don't need to speculate. Whichever one of those teams emerges as a one-loss champion, right? I mean, I guess all hell could break loose, and a champion could have less than one loss, but I mean more than one loss. But that team, whoever it is, should be considered. Mark my word, there will be an undefeated football team that we, all 3 of us, and hell, all of Field of 12, we can get a little Zoom with all these damn windows and pop everybody's head in there. And there wouldn't be one guy that would tell us, man, I don't know if 1 or 2 of those one-loss teams ain't better than one of the undefeated teams. I mean, that's going to happen. That's going to be the conversation that needs to be had in 4 or 5 weeks, however long it is when they have that final ranking come out.
Yeah, I'm with you. Last note on this league, at least from the West Coast, I'll tell you, if I took a healthy Utah, which I'm calling their game this weekend, so hopefully Cam Rising is back. He didn't play last week. But a healthy Utah, healthy SC, because they didn't have Jordan Addison, Amari Williams, an offensive lineman, 2 linebackers last week in their win over Arizona. UCLA or Oregon, I take all of them over Clemson. What do you think? You guys have seen them.
This shows how much I know, Yogi. At the beginning of the year, leading up to the Florida-Utah game, I was like, man, I really like Florida in this one. It'll tell me a lot about the Pac-12. Utah came out and played good. They didn't win. I'm like, okay, everybody's like, oh, Florida's this, Florida's that. Utah's pretty good. I'm like, no, not bought into the Pac-12. I'm just not. I think they're going to be a subpar conference. I think it's going to be USC and then everybody else. They didn't name Bo Nix the quarterback at Oregon for a long time. I didn't even think about UCLA, even though they had some firepower coming into the year. Hey, Pac-12 at night, Central time zone folks, and just stay out there and beat up on each other. To your point, Yogi, the Pac-12 has surprised the heck out of me, and I think it's fantastic for college football. I like Utah a lot, especially a healthy Utah, and I think there's just way too much time left in this season to even speculate because some of these folks are going to beat up on each other.
I can't take 2 lost teams serious at this point. Not in this conversation. I can't do it. I mean, I don't think we're going to see a year where a group of 5s are considered. I don't think this is a year where a 2-loss team is considered. I think this one's going to boil down to legit. Do they have the guts to put the better team in there that may have a little bit less of a record or may come from a different conference than one of the big 2 or big 3 power conferences, which we know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Big Ten and the SEC, and then for some reason the ACC gets more love than the other 2. But I don't think we're going to get there. So I can't take 2-loss teams seriously in this conversation.
Yeah. Well, no, I meant if they played them, not to get ranked higher than them. But I said if Clemson and Utah met on a neutral site, who are you picking in the game?
Cool. I tell you what.
You just pause, right? Like
No, look, if I had, I don't want to bet on either one of them, but if I had to bet my money and the winnings were going to pay my house note next month, I bet on Utah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love this dialogue, because from my experience of one time going down to, where the committee meets and sitting in those rooms, this is how it goes, right? They start talking like, who would you take?